Hello, welcome. My name is Tijani Musa.
And I'm Yasmin Musa, and this is how we're doing it.
Welcome to our podcast. This podcast is about sharing our debt-free experiences and journey on how we achieve and our dreams of going to college and graduating from college with 2 degrees each, staying debt-free, buying our first home, and moving across the country without getting into debt. We'll do this in an authentic, fun, and educational way to help other first-gens with similar paths. So the topic today is about what?
How we moved cross country.
All right, then let's get started.
All right.
What you got for me today?
Okay, the first point I want to bring up is that you and I literally always talked about it. I remember we were just dating, and this is very early in our relationship. We're just getting to know each other, and we'd always bring up, oh, one day we're going to move to Texas. And I don't even know why we picked Texas.
Because of the Cowboys.
Okay. You bring up a good point.
That's right.
We were influenced by the Cowboys.
That's right. Remember, we came to Texas and somebody told you have low standards?
No. Here's a full story. They asked me, so what brought you to Texas? And I said, the Dallas Cowboys. And their response was, oh, you have low standards.
Oh, my God.
I don't think we should include this in the podcast.
No, we shouldn't. But the bad thing is that we already recorded this, so it's going to be there.
You know what? Don't hate on the Cowboys.
That's right. Cowboys all the way. Let's go.
Period.
All right. Go ahead.
So the thought was always in our mind. Like I said, even from when we were dating, we'd always talk about it, but we never really did anything about it. And I think a lot of that is because we were very comfortable in Virginia.
Right.
You know, Virginia's just, I like to think of it as a place that our families picked for us when we first came to the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And we were comfortable there. We had been living there for decades. We had our own little communities. We had gone to school in the area, and everything was so familiar. Everything was just comfortable. And I don't think we ever felt a need to really leave. Because it's scary, right?
Absolutely.
You don't want to go somewhere where you don't have, any family, where you don't know anybody, you don't have any friends. It's a scary thought, especially as an adult.
Right. And the thing is, the reality is that, leaving from Virginia, like you said, our family chose Virginia for us. And we've been living there for you over 20 years, for me over 16, 17 years. And so Virginia is all we knew. And so it was extremely difficult leaving everything behind. But the way that we were able to do it, number one, is if you decide that you want to move across the country, we're gonna share with you some of the tips that we learned and the things that we followed to help us get to an ultimate decision of actually packing our stuff and actually leaving Virginia and relocating to Texas. So if you stay with us, you get to learn these tips, and hopefully they will become useful to you. And you can also follow similar tips if you're thinking about relocating anywhere. If you want to come to Texas, obviously you can send us a note, and we will provide you detailed information about our journey. But if you want to go anywhere other than Texas, just know that it's possible. And that's why we're recording this episode, to walk you through exactly how we were able to do it. And that's the reason why we call our podcast How We're Doing It, to share with you our journey.
So back in September of 2022, we finally decided that we were going to travel to Texas. And we had done our research at that point, right? Like we did our research of what areas we were thinking of living in Texas, and the one that we ultimately decided we wanted to explore more was Dallas. So Labor Day weekend 2022, we took a trip here. That trip was life-changing for us for many reasons, but the main reason was we just got here and completely fell in love with the area. One, the Muslim community is a lot more present in Dallas. I've specifically heard this term before, that Dallas is the Mecca of, oh gosh, what's the term now?
The Mecca of Islam, or the Mecca of Muslims
The
in the U.S.
U.S.
Yeah,
Like, yeah, like they I don't know where I'm going with this.
it's equivalent to the Mecca. Like Mecca is a sacred place, and so Texas is regarded. I mean, Dallas is regarded as the Mecca of the U.S. Similar to
Right. And we saw that right away. Like when we first got here, the first thing, we did was go to like some of the mosques that were in the area.
Right.
And you could literally find one anywhere. And that's kind of what we used to help like guide us, around like the different areas, was just traveling, to the different mosques, going to different parts of Dallas, because Dallas is a big metro area.
Absolutely.
And so we wanted to like narrow down one, whether we consider Fort Worth too, whether it was like Fort Worth or Dallas. And that trip really helped solidify for us that it was going to be Dallas. And specifically, we're in the suburbs. We are suburb people.
Yep.
And we have no shame in that because we like living our peaceful life and doing our own thing.
Right. We don't go to the club no more.
That's not for us anymore. Like we have kids.
Yeah.
It's not our vibe.
Nope. And so I guess the first tip is when you're deciding to relocate to a new place, the first thing you want to do is research. And Yasmin mentioned it already. Do your research. And even before the research, I want to, mention this to you. You mentioned the Muslim community. So the first thing that I thought we did was praying about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we always pray about either big decisions or small decisions. We pray about them, and we ended up saying, if this is the right thing for us, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make it easy for us. And if it's not the right thing for us, we ask Allah to also redirect us. And so first thing we did is pray about it. And then the next thing we do is make your research. And so that's first tips.
Do your research, then explore the area that you're interested in.
Absolutely.
And
take the trips.
You brought up, how all along, like we were basically following God's plan. It's a tough decision. You're going cross country. And like we mentioned, you're leaving everything behind. And the biggest deciding factor for us was just if things line up, then it's meant to be.
Right.
And we explored Dallas like early September, and we basically knew we were moving here by the end of September.
Right.
And by December we were here. And so it's one of those things that you pray about it and you ask God to guide you in the right direction. And if, it really is meant for you, it just works itself out. Like everything happened so fast. We found a home. Like our biggest thing was we wanted to buy a home because we needed a bigger space for our growing family.
Right.
And so we found a home. Then the next hurdle was jobs, right? Like I needed to find employment as a teacher. We found it, I found a job like almost immediately, and everything just lined up, even daycare. Like I was so worried because, our daughter had only been watched by family previously to us coming here.
Right.
Keep in mind, we're moving. Nobody's coming and following us.
Nope, it was just us.
It was just us making this big decision. And then all of a sudden we're like, oh, we have to start looking for a daycare. And luckily, there were options. And Jasleen, we were able to find a good place for Jasleen to be at.
Yep. And then that goes into the second tip for me. All right. The second tip is being intentional. All right. And the reason why I'm bringing up intentionality is because when you're making a decision like that, being intentional about it makes you pretty much prepared for the changes that are coming to your life. And the reason why you also need to be intentional about it is because when you share that goal with other people, they may or may not understand it. Your friends may understand it, some of them, and some of them may not understand it. But when you're intentional about it, you know exactly this is what I want to do. Nothing else other than God could basically mislead you or take your intentionality away from that goal. And so tip number 2 is being intentional. And then the tip number 3 is working hard. Work hard. When Yasmin and I shared these goals, years ago, we said we want to do this. Virginia has been great to us. Virginia has been good to us. That's all we knew. But this was a decision made by our parents. And now it's our time to make a decision for our babies. And so when we do this decision, it takes a lot of hard work. All right, in order for us to be able to accomplish that. And so we work hard, save money here, save money there, working odd jobs, working. You have no idea the type of jobs that Yasmin and I have worked on. But this is going to be like feature episodes where we talk to you about the different jobs and the way we got out of debt and the way we were able to stay out of debt.
I think you brought up a good point of the intentionality and really just at the end of the day, we wanted to do what was best for our family. And that's what led us here. And that was the reason why. And now looking back at it, the whole process started almost a year ago at this point. It's almost September when we're recording this episode. And so looking back, the last year has been a year of so much growth and change for us.
Yep.
And I feel like our bond as a family is so much stronger. Our faith with God is, I think, probably the strongest it's ever been. Our sense of community as well. Like, it really takes a lot. When you remove all that comfort from your life, you're literally left having to start over. And we are starting our new community here from scratch. And, I have to say, like, I'm really grateful for the place that we chose to live, the neighborhood. We have some amazing neighbors. It's a diverse area. Our daughter is growing up, with people of color around her. And that was really important for us. And I bring all that up just to say that it at the end of the day, like, it really is what's best for you, your family, and you don't really have, if nobody understands like why you're doing it, if they don't agree with you, at the end of the day, you always have to do what's best for yourself, and just keep that in mind. Looking back at the growth that we've made the last year, I'm proud of us. I'm amazed at how far we've come and how much we have accomplished in just 1 year. And we haven't even celebrated our first anniversary
Nope.
here, so.
Nope. And then absolutely, I agree with you. And the second tip is commitment. Once you made the decision and you're intentional about it, you have to commit to it. And once you commit to it, that's when you get to the place where you say, okay, this is exactly what we want to do, and we are going to do it. And so that's a very important tip. And while you were talking, I was just thinking to myself, maybe we should record another episode that talks about the challenges of moving from Virginia to Texas, because when we came to Texas, there were some challenges that like with daycare, adjusting here, not having any friends. So maybe we should record an episode about that.
No, yeah, I mean it's definitely it. I don't want to quote it like, oh, it's all been like rainbows and unicorns. No, it has not. Like, it's been challenging, obviously, but I feel like from everything that's happened, we've really, our communication has improved as a couple. Our communication as like a family unit has improved overall. And then I think just like our bond, like when we were, after our families visited in December, in January, we were by ourselves, and it was just us, and there was nobody else we could rely on. And it was lonely. It was really lonely.
Yeah.
But somehow we made it through that, and we started building that community one person at a time. And I'm just very grateful, because I feel like between the community that we built of other Muslims in the area, and the community that we built with our neighbors and, friends from work and all those things, like, I feel like everything has just kind of played out, and we have a different support system now, and our life here is very different than what it was when we first got here.
All right. Do you agree that I feel this way? I feel like moving to Texas we spend more time outside now. Like I feel healthy. Like we go on walks at least 2, 3, 4 times a day
Yeah.
compared to when I was in Virginia. Like,
Well, you walk a lot, yeah.
yeah. So like we go
With the
walking,
kids.
and I play soccer here more than I've played soccer in Virginia since high school.
I think one big thing is like the weather. Like when, Virginia has like really cold winter, so
Right.
we don't have that type of winter here in Texas. But then the opposite is we do have a lot of heat. So while you are able to enjoy more hot, nice summer days,
Outdoors, yeah.
I mean, in outdoor activities, like you have to wait till a certain time, during the summer. So I feel like it's both got its pros and cons. We haven't experienced our first fall here, and fall is my favorite season, so I'm kind of worried, to be honest.
I'm excited to see what fall is because they have a lot of festivals here in Texas, so it should be exciting.
I just want my pumpkin stuff.
Do you have any other tips of how we were able to move across country?
Not a tip, but I do want to point this out. So when we made the decision to move, it took us a while to really share it with a lot of people. We were just keeping it to ourselves, mostly because there were a lot of things that were still up in the air and we had not 100% figured out. But when we shared it with my family specifically, guys, my parents said, we're going to move too. And to Johnny and I were like, okay, it's one thing to say it because having been through that process, we thought, okay, it's one thing to say it, but another thing to actually go through with it and do it. And, I feel very blessed. And I think, we're just a blessed family in general because after a couple months,
Right.
So my parents came to visit in December. They saw the area. They loved it. I think, were a little biased because they wanted to be near their grandbaby as well.
Right.
But they also decided to move. They sold their home in Virginia. And next thing you know, they're in Texas. So by March, my parents had joined us here too.
I guess they need this.
Yes.
That's right. Let's go.
And they're, it's a very powerful thing. Like what they did, like they never, I never expected it.
Yeah.
I thought maybe they would, but that this is the other point. Like my family had always talked about Texas too,
Right.
Literally since I was little. But when we say that like Virginia was where my parents chose, like that's what they chose because my dad is an immigrant.
Right.
That's where the person who brought him to the States was at, and
Right.
there was work there, and that's where my dad settled. And then he brought my sister and my mom and I here, and that's where we settled because that's what he knew.
Right.
And so we never thought of like going somewhere that wasn't Virginia.
Right.
But when you and I made that decision, like, hey, we're going to Texas and this is why, and this is where we're buying a house and all the things, and then they saw us here and they just decided to follow us.
Right.
And it's a huge blessing. It really is. And you never know who you can inspire by making that move for yourself.
Right. That's a huge blessing, actually. It's not every day that you are moving to a different state or city, and then you have one of your major support system making the same move and following you. So we were extremely blessed, and that is a blessing that we don't take for granted, and we are appreciative of your parents for making the move and coming with us and being our support system. It's definitely something that we did not expect.
Absolutely.
Anything else? You have anything final?
I would just say if your heart has ever desired to start fresh, to go somewhere, to take that risk, I want to challenge you to at least start the process of doing your research. It's not an easy process. And, we kind of went over the tips right now.
Right.
We can go more into depth about the challenges in another episode. But I think looking back, it's the best decision that we could have made for our family.
Yeah.
And while it's been hard and there's been challenges, there's also been a lot of great things that have came out of this. And I'm stronger. our relationship, I feel like, has really grown and developed into something that I don't even think we expected, because we're out here and it's just you and I. So we're forced to rely on each other more and communicate more and just be in each other's lives more. So if you've ever had the thought, I want you to consider it and really, start the research, take that leap of faith. I feel like that's really what we did. We took a leap of faith and, by the grace of God, everything went well and here we are.
Yep. And that's how we do it. And now that you know how we did it, we strongly believe that you can do it too. And we welcome you to, make your plans and also have a plan in place and make sure that, you commit to it and be intentional about it. And we believe that you can achieve it. If we were able to achieve it, we really believe that you can achieve it too. And now that you've listened to us, we ask you to, if you find value in any of the conversations that we've had, please share and comment and give us some feedback. Thank you very much. And one more thing.
Mama.
Oh, Jeff, please.
Bye-bye.